England have just drawn the second game of a major tournament for the 4th time in a row, but I'm here to tell you why that Ghana game shouldn't scare anyone. From England's electric transitions in Texas to struggling to break down a low block, these game states are part and parcel of a major tournament. I'm 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏, FourFourTwo's resident tactician, and this is what we've learned from England's World Cup so far.
Prince Adu with a chance.
All 10 outfield England players are in Ghana's half here. They're creating little wide triangles specifically on the right hand side to create an overload to then get in beyond the Ghana fullback. The problem England had was, well, Ghana just didn't engage with them. So that ability to get in beyond and get into that space by pulling them out, well, it just didn't happen. As a result, we saw 𝗦𝗶𝗴្𝗍 and 𝗬𝗓 playing sideways or forwards just to then receive it back, whilst Ghana passively watched, protecting the final third. 𝗦𝗶𝗴្𝗍, for example, played more passes versus Ghana than any other player in a single game in the 2026 World Cup. But as we look at his pass map, the majority of them were sideways and on the halfway line. At half time, Ghana had only played 4 more passes than 𝗬𝗓, but as we know, possession isn't everything, and in fact with England, possession's more of a negative. Here, Saka receives the ball and England have that triangle, but because Croatia are man-to-man and engage so heavily, England are able to move the ball into space quickly and get in behind the Croatia fullback. Now, that's England's biggest attacking threat, baiting the opposition out to come and press them before then playing very quickly into the space in beyond, almost having their own fabricated transitions. Here, Ghana don't fall for that same bait one bit. They have zero intention to press or risk giving up space to try and win the ball back high, which does explain a lot about England's pretty dull display. The attack map against Ghana shows England's highest concentration of play being on the centre circle. But why is it that England have seemingly struggled to adapt to more passive opposition?
But it's another scare for England.
Well, when we look at Tuchel's squad and how he built this team, a lot of things stare right back at you. We have wingers who are runners full stop. 𝗦𝗶𝗴្𝗍 and Gordon, who started both games, want to burst into the space beyond the opposition's fullback, and they complement Harry Kane's movement deep into midfield by stretching the opposition's defence, which opens those pockets for Kane to drop deep. The problem is, against those low blocks, opposition teams just don't follow the wingers. They then crowd out Harry Kane, who only had 19 touches against Ghana, and it leaves you with a team who look like they're lacking balance and look like they're missing a lockpick to unlock these low block defences. However, Nico O'Reilly can be the difference maker in these types of games. With balls from the right with Reece James and Bukayo Saka, someone who's going to crash into the back post from that left hand side is England's way to beating these low block teams. Against Croatia, all 8 of England's open play crosses came from that right hand side for this exact reason. Thomas Tuchel has a clear goal of overloading the right hand side to open space for the left hand side partnership to arrive into at the back post. Obviously, we didn't see that in full effect against Ghana, and that was partially because O'Reilly was dropped, with him having a few struggles against Croatia when it came to playing out from the back, and a big problem is that Bukayo Saka is still getting back to full fitness. But once we get Bukayo Saka back, and I feel like Thomas Tuchel may have learned a thing or two about who he wants at left back, well, then England have that new dynamic for these low block sides, which can be the difference maker, and it nearly was against Ghana, which will be important when Tuchel's setting up his knockout team. The team that we see playing against Ghana, I don't think will be the team that we see go through the rest of the tournament. Video aside for a second though, here's a hypothetical question for you. Imagine you're on your holidays during the World Cup, or you're away for work and you can't get your World Cup fix. You've got your TV license sorted to watch the BBC when you're at home, but not when you're abroad. So what do? Well, our office friends at Tom's Guide, well, they've got the answer for you. Because they've tested out a wide range of VPNs, and NordVPN stands out as the strongest option. Fast, reliable, and it comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee. That's enough to cover the entire World Cup tournament, so you can try it risk-free. The best bit, for all FourFourTwo viewers, there's an exclusive offer available. All you've got to do is go down to the link in the description, click it, and find out more. But for now, back to the video. I think the back line speaks for itself for Tuchel. We're probably going to see 𝗦𝗶𝗴𝗍𝗓 come back into that team, and I think in the long term, it's going to be 𝗬𝗓 and 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏 for the rest of the tournament, whilst obviously Reece James keeps his spot at right back. The midfield as well is completely fine, although there's always going to be discourse because we've got a lot of big characters in there and a little bit of controversy about the squad selection initially, but for me, that sticks the way it is. We then look on the wings. Now, for me, I'm going with Bukayo Saka at right wing as soon as he is fit. I think 𝗦𝗶𝗴𝗍𝗓 has been okay, but against those teams who are going to sit a little bit deeper, he just doesn't have the keys. He doesn't have the tools to unlock those type of defenses. Then obviously, you've got Harry Kane who keeps his place up front, and then on the left, it's got to be Rashford for me. I like Anthony Gordon, but I think it's fair to say he's basically been not there at this tournament. At the Croatia game, I generally thought, is Gordon actually playing in that first half? Now, don't get me wrong, that's presumptuous, and we're hoping that Tuchel sees the things that we've all seen in these two opening games, and I do think he's going to get a lot of criticism for the Ghana game, and probably rightly so. I think specifically with 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏, he got that completely wrong. At half-time, Anthony Barry actually came out and said this was a side that has sat deep, probably deeper than we actually expected, and I think that largely depicts why England struggled so much against Ghana. O'Reilly was getting the ball by the touchline against Croatia, and that's fine, but it meant England struggled to play centrally because O'Reilly consistently mishit passes into the middle when he was under pressure. Bringing in 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏 opens up new angles to play those central passes. His ability to operate naturally on the inside with his right foot offers more comfortability for those incisive passes into the middle. But because Ghana didn't actually go out and press England, they sat really, really deep, well, 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏 became more of a hindrance rather than an advantage or an escape mechanism. And therefore, it gives you the question that, well, should 𝗦𝗶𝗴𝗍𝗓 have probably started? And yes, in hindsight, he probably should have. Actually, Thomas Tuchel, a big clip of him shouting at 𝗘𝗫𝗏𝗏 to pass and goal, went everywhere after the game. The problem is those passing goal moves, that attacking movement, that's not in 𝗘𝗫𝗏𝗏𝗏's game. When he's at left back, he's a defender. He's a really good 1v1 defender, not an attacker. And therefore, it just made England a little bit awkward when they were trying to go from the mid-third to the final third. However, 𝗘𝗫𝗏𝗏𝗏's being in a position where he's coming up against this disgustingly low block, well, that's not going to be a regular thing for England, and therefore, their problems that they had, well, it's not going to be a common occurrence. I've got a question for you. How many times do you think England will face a really deep low block throughout the full 90 minutes of a World Cup game in this tournament? Well, the answer is not that many.
Bellingham for England! Brilliant start!
There's a high chance that England end up facing off against Mexico at the Azteca. Now, Mexico are a side who find that balance between those low block football and the high pressing intensity football. They've won the ball in the final third 4 times per 90. That's 1.5 more than England in this tournament. Now, will Mexico full throttle press England for 90 minutes like Croatia did? No. Will they sit inside their own box for 90 minutes like Ghana did? Also, no. England in every single stage of this tournament will have to do a little bit of everything, but something I can guarantee is that teams will go at England in the knockouts in every single game for a sustained period of time at some point in the game, which gives England the space to do those transitional movements, those quick-phased attacks into space that we know is England's biggest strength. But Thomas Tuchel must pick his team for the Panama game. Now, this is what I would love to see, but in reality, it's probably going to be something a little bit different. I expect to see John Stones come in for Ezri Konsa. I also expect to see 𝗦𝗶𝗴𝗍𝗓𝗏 come in at left back over 𝗘𝗫𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Rashford, Mainoo and Rodgers replacing Gordon, Elliot Anderson and Jude Bellingham are also things that I expect, with Harry Kane probably not seeing out a full 90 minutes in this one. That's no disrespect to Panama, but with England's place in the knockouts all but secured, I expect Thomas Tuchel will want to rest players because those knockout games, well, they'll more than likely mirror that Croatia game, which was really, really tough in terms of intensity. There was 82 duels competed in the Croatia game, and England played just 26% of their passes in the final third. That sort of thing takes a lot out of a team, no matter if you're Spain, France, England, Cape Verde. It takes a lot out of you to be in an end-to-end game like that, but it's why England can go all the way. Low blocks are a pain, absolutely, But Spain faced the same thing when they came up against Cape Verde and they drew 0-0, yet they're still tournament favourites. And that's because the reason for both Spain struggling against Cape Verde and England struggling against Ghana is that they're built very similarly in the sense of they're made to go up against other top nations, teams where it is going to be end-to-end. That's where both of Spain and England are at their best. England's midfield build is a Swiss army knife that allows for constant shifts in formation to deal with better sides who press high and have the ability to shift the tempo. England have the same and can keep up with those better sides in and out of possession. Space is England's friend at this World Cup, and against those top sides, space is something that they will have almost in abundance when it's an end-to-end game. The Cape Verdes of the world can make it really tough for you, but to go and win the whole entire tournament, you need to be good against the big boys, not just the little boys, as 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔 taught with multiple big wins under him just to falter against the first big nation that we would play in that tournament. Don't get me wrong, England have some issues that do need fine-tuning and a few fixes that need to happen if they want to go all the way. But if just one of those big chances went in against Ghana, well, you'd all still be in the pub right now singing World in Motion. And that's not a criticism of anyone, but you've just got to put everything into perspective in a cup competition in this magnitude. It's still coming home, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you worry. I've been 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔. This has been 442. It is absolutely boiling in England. As you can see, I've progressively got more sweaty. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.